Hello, Dominic here from the Writing Festival. Really looking forward to welcoming you to Bournemouth Town Centre on the 26th, 27th and 28th of April to the second Bournemouth Writing Festival. Now, this year we have some really special sessions happening where you can have a one-to-one with a writing professional. So you've already know, hopefully, about our one-to-ones with literary agents, where you can pitch your novel or you can ask about the commerciality of your script or ask any questions. But we also have one-to-one private sessions with professionals that will help you improve and progress your writing. So we have Emma Scattergood. She is offering a one-to-one on anything actually to do with your writing, whether that's plot, characterization, structure, research, self-publishing, whatever it might be. Emma Scattergood will be available on the Saturday. Linda Liebrand is a book marketing guru, and you can book in a slot with her to talk about how to market your book, or very personalized information pertinent to you and your brand and your book. And then on Sunday, Brad Gury from Bournemouth University is offering one-to-one sessions on characters and characterization. So if you are interested to have a private, personalized one-to-one with these writing professionals, then please look at the website and book in a slot. Now, on Friday, we have 5 talks happening at the Pavilion Dance, and one of those is with Denise Baden, and she is from the University of Southampton. Her talk is called Writing to Change the World. So no pressure there whatsoever in your writing. This is on Friday at 5 o'clock at the Pavilion Dance. Now, Professor Denise Baden is a professor of sustainable business within the Southampton Business School at the University of Southampton. She is the liaison officer for the United Nations Principles of Responsible Management Education and has been involved in integrating issues of ethics, responsibility, and sustainability into the curriculum. Denise is also the founder and chair of the university's Green Group. And if that wasn't enough, she is also an author of several stories, novels, and stage plays and screenwriting on green issues. She works with other climate authors and set up green stories, writing competitions that showcase what a sustainable society might look like. Wow. So Denise is the perfect person to be talking about writing to change the world. So welcome, Denise.
Oh, thank you, Dom. It's great to be here. Look forward to my talk.
Wonderful. Okay, so Denise, tell us a little bit about your background. You've done so many things, particularly on sustainability. How did you get into it?
Well, funny enough, it was a novel that first got me into green issues. It was Ben Elton's Start. So that's going back to the 90s now, but it was really funny. And it kind of had a green theme, but it was mostly kind of action, adventure, comedy, bit of romance. And it had these little characters in it, which were little cameos. Like it had Dave was born today, and it was a water birth, but within an hour of being born, he died. And it turned out Dave was a dolphin in a fishing net. And it was my first sort of wake up call. I thought, hang on a minute, I can get dolphin friendly tuna. And I would not have thought about that if I hadn't read that book. And it was kind of the idea of product placing kind of green issues in a sort of really sort of mainstream book, because I would never at that time have chosen to watch a climate documentary. So I kind of thought, and I kind of became a bit of a greenie after that. And I taught in the area of sustainability for many years, but you can write articles and things and hardly anyone reads them, and when they do, they get it all wrong. So I kind of hit upon stories as a way to reach a wider audience. So I've done quite a bit of research into how people respond to green themes and stories, what works, what doesn't, who's engaged, whether a catastrophic focus is better or a more solution focused is better, and so on. So that's sort of how I ended up going into that realm.
So you've gone, as I in all the kind of lengthy intros to who you are, you kind of delved into lots of different avenues in terms of green writing, set up these competitions, and you collaborate with other climate writers. So tell us about how you expanded. You obviously have a passion for this subject, particularly for your work at the university. So tell us how you kind of started to collaborate and some of the ideas that you came out with.
Okay, well, I kind of began by thinking that we're kind of doing climate communications all wrong. Because a lot of my research in the area of sustainability education showed that if you just scare people, then you're going to kind of alienate a lot of people. A lot of people will go into denial or avoidance, or those who are inspired to act might be inspired to act in all the wrong kinds of ways. So rather than becoming more climate friendly, they might just sort of buy up all the toilet rolls or get themselves a gun, or So how we portray that information is quite important. And also, I thought we're preaching to the converted the whole time, especially teaching. Only those who already care are doing that course. So I just thought stories were a really nice way, and I started doing some research into that. And I realized that pretty well every story or film or book that had any kind of green issues was focused on the problems, not the solutions. And any story set in the future was always dystopian as far as I could see. So there's a real gap in the kind of solution focused, more sort of upbeat stories that address some of these issues. So I set up the Green Stories writing competitions. And, as a sustainability professor, I know what the solutions are. So I put some of the more main transformative ones on the website and challenged writers to try and integrate them into their stories. And to win, you had to be both entertaining, because if you don't have the reader's interest, it doesn't matter how good the rest of it is. And you either have to showcase what a sustainable society might look like if we do it well, or just kind of product place green behaviors, sort of normalize things like cycling or buying secondhand or eating seasonal produce within the sort of construct of a mainstream genre. I mean, a great example of that, we did a project with BAFTA, where we wanted to highlight the influence of characters on TV in setting our aspirations. So, for example, you got all these films where the heroines, you got that trope of them shopping and different outfit each day, and heroes driving their sports cars and private jets. And we wanted to find out, is it still okay to portray high carbon consumption as aspirational? So we did some really fun Instagrams. People can check them out on #ClimateCharacters, where we had like James Bond with his single-use sports car, Aston Martin, his walk-in wardrobe of luxury suits, a very high carbon footprint to kill the bad guys. Or you've got Jack Reacher, who travels by bus, shops and thrift shops, a nice low carbon footprint for killing the bad guys. So we had kind of a lot of fun with that, looking at Emily in Paris, and who needs a Paris agreement for her own wardrobe versus Grace and Frankie, like vintage clothes. So we had fun with that. And but the trouble is, with all the competitions, we've run 20 free competitions now, that a lot of writers still focus just on the problems and awareness raising. And rather than trying to tie them to solutions, and I'll talk about this in my talk, some of the psychology of how we respond to that. But no one was kind of getting it right or managed to pull off that nice mix of entertainment and positive role models or inspirational role models. So I kind of like, well, you can't find what you want to read, write it yourself. So I wrote my first novel, Habitat Man, during lockdown. It's set locally. It's about a real green garden consultant who gave up his job to help make gardens wildlife friendly. Except I made him fall in love, and he digs up a body. And the body then is a nice excuse for a natural burial. And then you can showcase some of that. And it turned out to be quite influential. Loads of people wrote to me saying they were so moved by the burial scene, they're changing their wills for a natural burial. And it got down to the last two for a Radio 4 sitcom. So I kind of got into the writing bug from then on. So I'm on my fourth novel now. So that was kind of my journey, I guess, from academic to fiction author.
That's brilliant, and thank you for sharing all of those. You know, I think as you rightly say, you know, when you talk about sustainability, it can be quite research driven or science driven and quite preachy. And you know, we as writers have the power through our words to change opinions and
Yeah.
create that narrative of, as you say, entertainment. So it's not kind of being preachy, say you must recycle, but doing it in a way where our characters do it and we can resonate with those characters, etc. And Timo Peach last year at his keynote finale talked about how do we unpick what we've learned, you know, from 500 years of storytelling, and you know, use our words as writers to affect change. Which leads me nicely into your talk, which, you know, writing to change the world is quite a big title, really. So it's quite daunting, I suppose, in a way. So give us a little bit insight of what you were going to be talking about in your session.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the reason I chose that title is when I talk to writers, so many of them do it because they have something they really want to share that they want other people to benefit from. And it doesn't have to be the environment. It could be racism or gender or some kind of issue that's very personal to them. So I think it's not that unusual that writers want to find a way to communicate with an audience, not just to entertain them, but to get over a point of view. The trouble is, though, that when you go in with an agenda and you're taking it upon yourself as a writer to tell other people how to think or behave, it can come across really badly. There's so many pitfalls. I mean, writing well is hard at the best of times. Trying to write with an intention to change someone's behavior or point of view, it can easily come across as preachy or clunky, or high-handed or boring. You know, I mean, we always have to avoid the tendency to info dump, and there's double that incentive if you're going with that attitude. So I just thought there's a real opportunity here. It's a key motivation for many writers. Done well, it can be hugely rewarding to the writer and the reader, but done badly, it can just be really bad. And I learned a lot of this, not just through looking at 20 sort of competitions from green stories and seeing what works and what doesn't, but through my own trial and error. So I kind of want to impart some of that wisdom. One, what works. I've got some research to back up different things. I've got some examples. We'll try and incorporate some writing exercises, maybe a bit of brainstorming at the time. So that's what people can hope to get. How to do it well, what pitfalls to avoid.
You're right. You know, and I can think, you know, I remember now books that I've read where it does become very preachy. You know, it's almost at the end where they say, right, you've kind of seen the narrative. Now I'm going to hit you with the moral, and it's,
Yeah.
you know, recycle or sustainability. But there's other people I can think of off the top of my head that are able to, okay, let's use your words, change the world through their words, you know, and it's so emotional, you know, when it comes from somewhere deep inside, then
Yeah.
that's where the magic happens, I think. So I think, you know, some of those things that you said, the tips and guidance that you can give to help people bring those emotions out, so you can change. When you said it's not just about sustainability, it could be any aspect of life, racism, discrimination, you know, whatever really. So hopefully, you know, people can have those skills. So what do you hope then that people, once they leave the auditorium at the Pavilion Theatre, what do you want people to do? As I said, it's quite a big title. So when people leave, you know, obviously you don't want people to feel overwhelmed. So what would you like people to do once they've left?
I'd like them to feel excited to write. So I think a lot of people are drawn to writing because they themselves have been influenced by a book. So I think we can all look back to something we've read that changed us. So, you know, I've got my own examples. So to think that you might be that for somebody else, I mean, wow, right? So I would like people to go away thinking, wow, maybe I could be that person. And I think maybe now I could do it better than I could before.
Incredible. The hairs on my arm is standing up just as you were speaking there. So so let's hope those people that do come to your talk and that they do feel like that, and they, you know, after leaving, they do feel that they can put words down on paper that will literally change the world. So very excited to come to see your talk. It's on Friday, the 26th of April at 5 o'clock at the Pavilion Dance. And then when Denise finishes, then our Friday night social will begin from 7 o'clock. So once you've seen Denise's talk, then you come over and have a bit of a drink and networking, meet some of our speakers as well as other attendees. So thank you so much, Denise, for speaking to me today.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
And I shall see you in April, the 26th, 27th and 28th of April in Bournemouth Town Centre for the Bournemouth Writing Festival. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.